Hello and welcome everyone to our 48th episode of The Little Inside. My name is still Tobi, and this week we are going to have a look at dynamic meditation techniques. So let's get started right after the intro. There are many people who find sitting meditation particularly difficult. When the body becomes very static, it doesn't move anymore, and you have to sit still for, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour even, then that appears almost like a threat to them. So these people who are particularly nervous, there's a lot of nervous energy, a lot of restlessness in them, they tend to have great difficulty with sitting or static meditation. So for them, dynamic meditation techniques are a very, very good option in the beginning of their practice, but also all the way through to the end of the spiritual path. There is a great benefit in dynamic meditation techniques. And I'm going to have a look at these dynamic meditation techniques in more detail in this episode. So first of all, to define, when the body is in motion and you're practicing a mind training technique, then I call that a dynamic meditation. When the body is static, such as in static standing or sitting practice, then I call that a static meditation technique. Excuse me. So we have these two covered. Before we go a little bit deeper into each one, then it's always important to kind of know what I'm talking about. So dynamic means the body moves, and static means the body doesn't move here. That's the way I'm going to talk about these two meditation techniques in this video. So examples of dynamic meditation would be, for example, walking meditation. Well, walking meditation is something that's very, very popular. And the way we practice it at the retreat, the way I practice it in my daily life, is actually just walk normally. You don't want to walk in any fancy or particular walking style, even though you can do that. You can walk particularly slowly or noting all the different contact points of your feet on the floor. That is possible. But the way I practice it is so that I can integrate it into my daily life. So for example, when I walk out of the office into the living room, or I walk from the living room out of my house, entering the car, there's a lot of walking going on. And during these periods of walking, I want to establish mindfulness of walking. So here's how I do it. Simply noticing how it feels like to walk. While my feet are touching the ground, the body keeps its balance. I'm exploring how my body feels while it walks. Pretty simple, actually. Another example of dynamic meditation would be, for example, chanting. Many people, they sit and they chant, which is a dynamic activity, and it brings their mindfulness into the present moment. It brings their mindfulness. That's why many people actually, before they do their actual sitting meditation, they chant, they do prayers. It is a ritual that centers them initially, establishes a right motivation for them. It establishes some faith, and it anchors their mindfulness. You don't want to come just from your hectic, everyday, busy life and directly enter static meditation and be there. There has to be some transitional period. Another example would be swimming. If you have a pool or you like to swim, then you can do that mindfully. Just like walking meditation, you can feel the water resistance, you can feel the temperature of the water. It's a very good exercise for the body too. You can do that while you're in the gym, you're exercising, you can do that mindfully. You can bring meditation into the gym and you create a dynamic meditation. You're cultivating present moment awareness or silent present moment awareness, a present moment awareness in which there is no mental chatter accompanying what you do, just the pure feeling of it. Another example are everyday activities, cooking, cleaning, working on the computer even, answering your mails. That can all be done mindfully. So you don't have the feeling that you need to wait for your meditation, which is sometime in the future, and or I can only meditate at 6 p.m., but all the rest of the day seems to be very insignificant. It's almost like a means to an end. I need to get to 6 p.m. or I need to get to my tomorrow. You don't want that kind of attitude in your mind, because it contradicts spiritual practice. Instead, you want to cultivate present moment awareness with everything you do. And like anything, as I always mention, it takes time, and it takes repetition, and it takes like a persistent, consistent action that you do something every day. For example, each time when I walk, I want to walk mindfully. And so you can start bringing mindfulness into all the walking periods during your day. And then once you're good at that, you can then go, well, now I want to add all the sitting. So each time you sit, you become mindful of the sitting. And then all the moments when you just stand, and then all the moments when you lie down. And so you can bring mindfulness gradually, allowing it to grow. You bring it gradually into your everyday life. So that is the purpose and the idea of dynamic meditation, to establish mindfulness in everyday activities, to allow the mindfulness to be there at all times. But there is also a limitation to dynamic meditation techniques. You can't get much deeper. Therefore, we have static meditation techniques. We have the meditation in which we can completely forget the body and the realm of the five senses, the physical realm. If you want to enter deeper states of meditation, deeper states of happiness, rapture, bliss, then it is very important to let go of your body. That's then why we sit each day, maybe once or twice, to cultivate a deeper meditation. But these sessions of static meditation, they are carried and supported by our dynamic meditation, what we do off the cushion, when we are not sitting on the mat. That is supporting your static meditation technique. Let's say you sit every day at 7 p.m. for half an hour or an hour, and you cultivate that. But during the daytime, you just surrender to every distraction possible. You just lose yourself in mindless chatter the whole day. You go online and watch video after video of just random, stuff like news and puppies and kittens and all in what, listening to music and all that. If your entire day long is constantly devoted to distracting yourself, then you will have a very hard time at 7 p.m. when you actually sit down and you try to settle the mind. That's why it's so important to be present with what you do during the day, to support the sessions. And why all that? Well, to create greater sense of well-being and happiness. You're taking care of yourself. You create more aliveness. Or no, you're not creating it, but you're tapping into it. You're sinking into a deeper sense of joy and aliveness than most people could ever imagine. So that's why we practice these things. We're not practicing them to become like a boring meditation fart that doesn't do anything else but just sitting around and, like, oh no, I'm not listening to music. I'm not doing anything. I'm just only sitting. And then, you want to bring your practice into what you do and slowly allow the practice to sustain you with greater, more profound states of happiness and well-being, which then can flow either into your activities or your non-activities during the day. That's the idea of it, right? So as always, a good balance here is key. You want to have a good balance between static meditation, the times when you're actually sitting in quietude, that has to be there too. It's a very important part of spiritual practice. And the dynamic meditation, which is equally as important, what you do off the mat. When you walk, when you sit, when you talk with other people, when you're interacting with the world around you. if there is no mindfulness, we're kind of doomed to react. We're doomed to be on autopilot. Your entire life will be determined by external sources, by your upbringing, by your past, by media, by advertising. That is not freedom. So in order to bring more freedom into your life, there has to be more mindfulness. So you can make educated, informed choices about which action that you can take right now that is of greater benefit. Not just following blindly all your preferences and kind of the inputs that you receive from the sense world, but to have a very solid center within yourself, which is not easily swayed by the external dreamlike world. So that's it for episode 48. I hope that this was meaningful, again, elaborating on these two aspects of the practice, the rigid or static meditation techniques and dynamic meditation techniques, finding a good balance between on the mat and off the mat in daily life. So if you do have any questions or inputs or comments, always happy to read your comments, always happy to see that you're interested and curious. Feel free to write them down in the comment section below. And well, for now, I think that's good enough. I wish you a wonderful next week and see you again next Wednesday. Bye-bye.